What's up? This is Brandon Donahue, and you're listening to the All Bass No Treble podcast, where we talk all things hip-hop, culture, music, lifestyle, and more. So kick back and join myself and my co-host as we feature our next special guest this week. What's up, everyone? Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of All Bass No Treble. We appreciate it each and every week. As always, I'm your host, Brandon Donahue. To my right this time is Jesus Rangel. Jordan Dante in the building as usual. Yes, and the legendary DJ Felli Fel. I appreciate it. For real, this is big.
Thank you.
No, thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, of course, man. This is big for me because I'm from like a small ass town in Massachusetts, bro. Like my hometown probably has like in the winter time, like 4,000 people.
You said in the winter, hey, so it changes.
Because it changes in the summertime.
We talked about that. Like, it's a summertime.
Yeah, like hometown, wintertime, it's like 4,000 people. But I used to like obviously pay like Buckton here and stuff like that back in the day, like finer things. So like for me to have this is kind of like a fruitation. I'm like, wow, this is dope. So I'm excited, bro. And thank you for coming on, for real.
Yeah, and I was talking to Brandon too. I mean, shit, growing up in LA too, fuck, traffic jam, Power 106, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I still hear you on there in the morning.
Yeah,
it's like to hear it like in person too. I'm always like, man, he sounds just like the radio. Like really, it's exactly it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm gonna be honest.
Well, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I'm gonna be honest. I didn't even know until it took me a while to really understand and know who you were, because obviously you know how James is.
Jordan's family.
Yeah,
Jordan's friends.
It's like my second dad, man.
Yeah,
Jordan bit tight with James Jr. But what I was gonna say about the voice thing is that I never was a radio dude.
Yeah.
So I was a DJ that kind of got brought into radio.
Yeah.
So I never had I guess some radio personalities try to work on their voice.
Yeah.
Which I was just the DJ in the club that came in on the turntable. So I never really. I don't know if developed is the right way to put it, but I never. Some people try to. Now you're listening. I'm on the radio. I have to talk like this. Yeah. I never got caught up in all that.
Yeah.
Thank God.
You know what's crazy though? Like one of my friends is a DJ, and I always tell him that his radio school was him doing parties, because he learned how to rock the mic at the house party. So like,
yeah, for sure.
At that point, like when you went into radio, probably was like an easy transition, right?
Yeah, you know what? But some DJs. You in more recent years, I don't think have the mic. Back when I was, back when I was growing up, I used to walk 4 miles in the snow. I mean, you did introduce me as legendary old ass Felli Fel. So.
No, I didn't say old. No. It's like icon in LA.
Y'all giving me my flowers today? Is that what it is?
I'd like to give you a flower.
It's like drink chance. It's like drink chance. Give me the flowers now. You know?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm alive, motherfuckers. I'm alive.
We're trying to beat that Kanye interview out. We're trying to get 9 million on this.
Man, that interview is crazy.
Yeah, that's just nuts. It is.
But I think I came up at a time DJing where, a lot of DJs, when you're DJing, you have a mic in front of you.
Yeah.
So I kind of learned mic skills at the house party. And then, when I got into the clubs, I wanted a mic, right in front of me, and it helped me out.
Yeah.
It helped me transition into radio for sure.
Yeah.
So you go, Jordan. Go ahead.
So what made you get into radio, or did they just kind of approach you with the opportunity?
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is. So I was doing clubs, and at the time, and I'll tell you the long story short, I was in Dallas at the time, but I grew up in Atlanta. My dad's from Charlotte, North Carolina. My mom's from Charleston, South Carolina. So I had, Carolina roots. And when I was about 5 or 6 years old, my mom, we up and moved to Atlanta. Grew up in Atlanta. Moved to LA when I was about 16. Went to high school out in Pomona, and then a couple of years later, my mom's husband, my stepdad's job, moved to Dallas. So I ended up spending a lot of years in Dallas, and it was at that age where, I think I was about 18 or 19 at that time, and I was doing house parties. I was in that scene, and the house parties led to the club thing led to the radio thing. And basically I was doing a house party one day, and my buddy Philip, one of his homies, Carlos, approached me and was like, hey man, would you ever want to do a club? And I think I was like 19, so that was like
oh wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it wasn't
even young.
It was unfathomable for me to even think about that. And I was like, I'm only 19. And he was like, oh, I thought you were younger than that. I'm like, damn.
He's like, don't worry, we'll get you in.
Right. For real. And he was like, nah, man, I know this, this club in East Dallas. It was a club called the Hakata Club. It was a Latin club. And they wanted a DJ that could play, English music in between the Spanish. And he took me up there one day, and I tried out, and I got the job. And I was all of a sudden I was DJing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights. And I think they paid me, I think it was like $75 a night. And,
wow!
But back then, and at that age, it was like, oh man, I'm making $300 a weekend. Yeah, I get to drink. I get to be around the girls. Like this is cool. So that's how I got my start in the club scene. That led to another club, bigger club. Before you know it, I'm doing, pretty big clubs in Dallas. And that led to me doing a community radio to get back to what you were asking about the radio thing. I got a chance to DJ on a community radio station. They did a Saturday night show. And the host of the show that somehow, I don't know, I can't remember how exactly we knew each other, but he asked me to come DJ one night. I think the DJ that he normally would use on his show couldn't make it, so I filled in. One thing led to another. I DJ'd more and more often on that Saturday night show. And it was a big frequency. It was a big FM frequency. The station was called, and still is called, KNON 89.3. And it's one of those stations that you'll hear country music 1 hour, the next hour you hear reggae, the next hour you hear hip hop.
Okay, kind of like a cool. KCRW.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the KCRW of Dallas.
Got it.
And it was in an old ass house. Like I think the house was like built in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and it was an old ass house. And I think about 10 years ago, or maybe five or 10 years ago, they tore that house down, which I was sad about. A lot of people were sad about it. But the station's still going. They just moved into a nicer. This building's from the 60s instead of the the late 1800s.
Yeah. That's crazy.
But that's how I started. That was my first time on a radio station. Was DJing on Alan Hammer's show. They called it the Rhythm Nation Power Hour. And it was basically a show. They would get people listening. I was playing hip hop, all the booty bass, house music, a little bit of Latin music, and it was to get everybody excited about going to this club called Rhythm Nation. Yeah. And then before you know it, I was DJing at Rhythm Nation and doing that Saturday night show with him. So it was kind of cool.
Damn,
that's great. So it kind of just went like step by step, almost just like kind of fell into place. It wasn't like you weren't like, I'm gonna go do this one day. It just kind of happened. In a way.
And I mean, I think in the back of my mind, I remember how excited I was. I probably tried to hide it. But I was like, man, this is crazy. I get DJ on the air, and I remember he as I became more of his regular Saturday night DJ on that show. Like I said, we do the radio, then we take the party to the club. Yeah, I think that show was from 7 to 10, and at 10, everybody was getting ready, deciding what they want to do, and everybody would go to the club, and that gave me one. It was pretty much my first start on the radio. I think I had DJ'd as a special guest on another show on KNON maybe a couple times, but this was like my first regular. Like every Saturday, I'm doing this show.
Oh wow!
And then he was late, or he in some cases didn't make it. Yeah. And that was when I got my opportunity. He would call. I remember he called one day and he said, "Hey, I'm running late. You're gonna have to start the show." And I would bring my own turntables, and in some cases another DJ would already be up there and have some turntables, and so I was only used to doing my thing on the turntables. They had this old ass board, a radio board with knobs. They weren't even faders, they were knobs.
Oh my god.
And I had to learn how to do it, and I was already kind of watching what he was doing, and so I kind of knew. And I had been up there enough to kind of, and I was savvy because I produced music, I had equipment at the house, and I'd already been DJing for a few years. So I knew a little bit. And so he would call me on the phone and be like, okay, this knob does this. Now turn this on. And I'll hit play on the turn and then we're on the air.
Yeah.
And then after about 2 or 3 times of that, he's like, hey, man, one day he's like, I don't think I'm going to make the show at all. You're going to have to do the whole show. And the whole thing about this show is being that it was a community station, the club, Rhythm Nation, would donate money to have this, because it was, you donate.
Yeah.
And they had their own show. But the whole thing was, we need to promote the club to get everybody to go to the club. So he would tell me, like, make sure you talk about this. And we got this going on tonight. And so now I'm DJing literally with my obviously turntables and mixer. And then I would turn this knob to turn the mic on. and it was an old setup so that it didn't kill the monitors. So now in radio, like on power, when I turn the mic on, it kills my monitors, so I don't get feedback.
Yeah.
But this, I'd have to turn up the mic and also turn down a monitor because now I'm on the air and I didn't want feedback, obviously. And it was interesting, man. I learned on a very, very primitive setup, which ended up helping me later in years.
Because then now you actually have technology and you're like, I know how the old shit used to work.
Exactly. It's like a breeze cakewalk after that point.
So you're in Dallas. How do you end up in LA again? Because you lived here.
Yeah, that was gonna be my question.
Yeah. So that radio station led to a bigger station, which actually was a Spanish station. Don't ask how I got that job there.
I was like, wait. I mean, you did say you were DJing Latin music and stuff. So I mean, there's probably that transition.
A lot of that was from the clubs I DJ'd, having to, a lot of the clubs I did, the alternative was Latin music. That one club I did, the main music was salsa merengue.
Rhythm Nation?
But Rhythm Nation, no. The Hakata Club.
Yeah.
And then once I got to doing like other clubs like Escapades and Rhythm Nation and Zaps, it was on most nights it was hip hop and dance music first, and then we played like Tejano music and a little bit of salsa and cumbias and stuff like that. So I was around it and learned it. In part by a couple of DJs like Mean Mowdy, Jammin' Joe Martinez, Steve Chavez, who was a big DJ actually on KNON back in the day. He would. So I paid attention. As a DJ, you gotta. And I would do weddings. I started getting into the point where I would do quinceañeras and weddings and
I feel like, has every DJ been like did weddings, you think, at some point in their like DJ career? Because I feel like you used to you did weddings too, right, Wolf?
I used to DJ too. So I mean, I did the house parties, fucking quinceañeras, weddings and stuff like that. And
hey, come on, bro, when you're in the hood, bro, you gotta do a quinceañera.
No,
if they know you got some turntables, you're doing a fucking quinceañera or a fucking wedding.
It's like family would be like, oh yeah, it's so and so's quinceañera. Can you?
So
DJ?
you're DJing, you know that, right? You're like, oh,
I'm like, are you paying me? Because I wanted to enjoy the party.
They're like, hey, we got barbecue, we got everything, we got beer.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like even like to relate it to like what Matt does, photography and stuff. I feel like a lot of photographers start out with like weddings as their kind of big of starting check. You know what I mean? Because they pay you good money to do it, and then you kind of go from there and show like your worth from that. And it's like every DJ that I've at least known and talked to, it's always like, I've done some weddings like this and that.
Let me tell you, when I really started picking up with the club stuff back then, I remember thinking like, I make more money doing weddings.
That's what I'm about to say.
And private parties and birthdays, 60s, sweet 16s, all that. But it was you wanted to, as a DJ, you want to be in that scene, and especially because I produced music and I was into the whole culture. That was where I wanted to be at. Doing the private stuff was like,
it's cool because it pays you, but like I always say, it's like, to me it was not fun. Like Like, I like some of the music that's played, but then it's like you said, it's like I don't want to do this shit.
Well, you get the drunk, uncle that wants to hear it. Like he wants to hear Ramon Ayala, but then after you play it, he wants to hear it. He swears him down. I thought you didn't play it. I'm like, bro, I played it 30 minutes ago.
I think the worst thing is when someone gives someone gets a request and it's like, yo, can you play this right now? I'm like, my guy, the dance floor is packed. If I play that shit's gonna be empty. You know how hard it is to get people on the dance floor.
For real. but in their mind, like that's the song that's gonna change the party.
That's the shit that's gonna set it off.
Yeah.
The worst is when somebody comes up and makes a request, and you were actually about to switch into that.
Yeah.
And then when you do, they swear up and down. See, I know I might as well be DJing. He sucks.
All right, get out here.
Bro, I don't even DJ, but where I bartend at, like people swear for some reason I'm the one controlling the music while bartending.
You work there,
and they'd be
bro.
like, yo, $20 so you could play like Sheck West. I'm like,
I want to
I'm
hear
like, bro, I got 100 people in front of me that want drinks. What makes you think I control the music right now?
Gotta just pop your
And why,
phone out. Like,
like, why is it that serious that you need to hear this
He
song
wants to
right
listen to
now,
Mo
bro?
Bamba, dude. Come on.
I'm like, just enjoy the playlist, man.
When people get drunk, they're dead serious. In
Dead
their
ass
mind,
serious
it's
to hear
like
that song.
Yeah.
Man. Like you said, it's gonna change. the
Montel
whole
Jordan. This is how we do it. Is going to change everything in life right now.
It might.
I mean, hey,
You know?
hey, you never
Most
know
of the
what
time, that song
That's a
does though.
classic.
That's a go-to song.
Yeah, that's a classic for
Yeah.
sure. But so when you got out to LA, when was that around? Like when you first got out here?
When I first came out for
transitioning?
high school, that was in '87.
Okay.
You know, if we must get detailed, and I can date myself even more. And you know, and I was when I came back to LA was in 2000.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah, it was a
in
great
2000, when you came back, is that when you were really on the radio in that era still?
So I got, like I was saying, I got you know the KNM, the community station led
Yeah.
to a commercial Spanish station, and the commercial Spanish station after about a year, you know, it just didn't work out.
Yeah.
My radios were great,
Yeah.
and I had fun actually
Yeah.
doing it. But there was they got new programmers in there doing stuff, and I just wasn't feeling it. We didn't really hit it off.
Yeah.
And I decided that to leave, and KNON, the community station, actually, you know, I was able to get a show there in the afternoon. Shout to the homie Ricky Rincon. They gave us our own little afternoon show. I think it was like some odd time, like four in the afternoon or something.
Yeah.
But I was like, fuck this, man. I'm having nightmares of the accordion monster. Like, even though I love Tejano music, like to
Yeah.
this day, like
Yeah.
a lot of those, you know, songs bring back, you know, they bring back really great memories. And, and just I'm a music lover, but I was a hip hop dude more
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
And it made more sense to be over there. And then I don't know how long, it's been so long, man. I think it was months later, I got a call from the big hip hop station in Dallas, and it was K104. My buddy at the time, Nippy Jones, who was a big DJ on K104, who I used to get vinyl from his house because he had a record pool. And he called me one day and he was like, "Hey, they're trying to get you up there to talk to you about, you know, doing something on the air." Came in there, met with Skip Cheatham. Was the program director at the time, or the music director? I can't remember which one. And I think the program director's name was Ken Dow. They interviewed me, and they said, "We want to offer you a night show from 10 to 2 a.m., 10 p.m. to 2 a.m." And I was like, "Oh
Wow.
shit, I'm gonna mix for 4 hours." And they were
Yeah.
like, not mixing, because I'm a DJ, so I was
Yeah, so
used
that's
to
what
being
you're
able
thinking.
to
Yeah.
pick my own music that we played on the shows that I had been on the other station. He was like, so anyway, they ended up meeting me halfway, and I think I mixed at the top of every hour for like 20 minutes.
God,
so I
okay.
mixed 10 to 10, 20, 11 to 11.
Live
20,
mixing.
live mixing.
Okay.
Wow.
So
Yeah, I was gonna ask
I had a
about
big part of my show was mixing.
Yeah.
But that's really when I really got into, you know, really understanding commercial radio.
Yeah.
Because the Spanish station, Kick FM was the name of the Spanish station. It was I learned a lot about commercial radio working there, but being on a hip hop station and just being in that environment, it fit me more, and I was able to kind of settle in and really learn what it was all about.
Yeah, of course, because like you said, that's kind of like what you initially wanted to do. So it's a lot more, I feel like, comfortability too. It's like that was a big part, like you said, and brings back memories. But for you, like your
great memories.
Yeah, your shit was hip hop, and that's like where you live. So it was like you got it, and it was like, okay, here we go. Now it's starting.
Yeah.
Which is dope. That's exciting too, because you're young. Like that's big. It's like a lot of people kind of, when everyone has their like success stories and stuff too, and you actually hear like the age sometimes, it's just, I'm like crazy. Like 19, you said you had started getting in the clubs like already.
In the club at 19.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Crazy looking back, man.
Yeah.
It's you know, it's
You've been on a journey. That's what
I've been on a journey.
You know what I'm saying?
But you know what? When I was having fun.
Yeah.
When you're having fun, it was just.
When I was gonna say next too, so when you landed the big show in Dallas, is that when you started kind of getting back to because you always said you always wanted to produce and you love producing? Is that when you fell into producing, or were you still kind of doing the DJ and stuff? Like, when did the producing aspect kind of come into play?
So I was actually producing intros for the DJs on K104.
Oh wow, okay.
So I was rapping at the time, trying to, you start realizing what you're best at, and my strengths lied with DJing and producing. So I kind of, the rap thing kind of slowly,
took a back burner,
took a back seat to the but
at least you understood that though.
Yeah, for sure.
Some people don't. That's for real. No, some people don't.
Learn to fail fast is a saying that but I did intros for my buddy Nippy Jones and the Tight at Night crew is what they were called, and then I would do I'd produce the beat, do the rap, talk about their show that they were on at 6 o'clock, all that stuff, and so yeah, it was, and it did, to end up getting a job, on that radio station. Yeah, it was surreal. It was really dope, man. It was, I miss that time. I miss those folks. It was a little bit. It was more of an innocent. I miss that innocent time.
Gotcha.
Because especially when as time moved on, when I got to LA and it was a grind, and I hit the ground running because I had left. And the way that I felt was like, man, I'm choosing to move to another city, and my son is in Dallas.
Yep.
And it was tough for me.
Yeah.
I just remember thinking like, I gotta make this work.
Yeah.
I gotta make it work because I'm missing out on a lot. So at least I want to be able to make up for it by being successful and having a little pocket change.
Yeah, for sure. It gives you fuel too. Like you said, it probably provided that extra spark, like you said, to get out here and be like, gotta make this happen now. And I was gonna ask that question because like I said, I'm not really too familiar with anything that happened. So when you left Dallas, was that your decision, or did you have something lined up to come out here to LA and DJ? Or
no, what happened was I had set up, I took some time off from the station in Dallas, from K104, and I took a week off to come out here to shop beats.
Oh wow!
And I had no intention of maybe in the back of my mind I was like, man, I'd love to get back out to LA. I'm sure there was that, and I was familiar because I went to high school out there for a while. But my number one goal was to show that I'm a producer. And so I set up a bunch of meetings with record labels that I had connections with through the fact that I was on the radio. I had relationships with the promotion side of the record industry because those record labels would promote their songs for us to play on the air. And so through those relationships with all these different labels, I set up meetings to come out here and meet with as many record people as I could.
Yeah.
And when I was out here, a buddy of mine, his name's Buys One. I always got to give all praise to my buddy Buys because he was a record promoter that I became friends with while I was in Dallas. He lived in LA. He would fly around the country promoting records. Dallas would be one of his stops.
Yeah.
We built a friendship, and when I told him I was coming out to LA, he was like, man. I told him when, and he goes, "Oh, we got to play ball while you're out here," because he knows I like to play ball.
Yeah.
And still do. This boy
I was about
knows.
to say,
still try to get it in.
Hey man,
is he nice?
Jordan's all right. Jordan's all right.
At least he's real.
I'm gonna tell you who Jordan is. Jordan reminds me of what's his name on the Bulls. No, I'm gonna tell you,
Alex Caruso.
No, Lance, or what's his name? But I'm gonna tell you who he reminds me of. This is young Steph Curry. He doesn't have those skills, but he shoots as many shots. Let me tell you, boy.
When I tell
If you ever decide to pass to Jordan, you're not getting the ball back. Nobody on the court is getting it. He is
But
shooting.
I'm hitting.
99.9% of the time.
That is
Once he
not
gets
true.
the ball, he's shooting.
If I feel good, I'm shooting for
Yeah.
sure.
So you got that scorer's mentality,
Just
bro.
don't-
That's-
just
you
don't
got
get
scorer's
to him in the
mentality.
corner.
That's
He got a little shot, man.
Shooter, shoot.
Hey, shooter,
Man,
shoot.
I'm trying,
He got a little
man.
shot.
You
But
know
yeah.
what? Go ahead.
I, on the other hand, don't have a shot. But my buddy Buys was nice enough to say, "Hey, you're gonna be out here." When I came out to LA, he called me. I think it was like the second day I was out here, and he's like, "We want to play ball at DJ Quick's house." And I was like,
Oh,
"Ooh."
wow.
And I was,
Yeah.
huge DJ Quick fan, still am. And he came and picked me up at my hotel. I was staying somewhere in Hollywood, and we go to DJ Quick's spot. I want to say it was out in the Valley at the time, and he had this badass. He lived in this badass townhouse or apartment place, and they had courts and spas and pools and all that.
Yeah.
So we, and I got to play ball with Quick, and anyway, during that process, we stopped at a radio station because he had to drop off some records to Power 106, and I ended up coming up with him to the station upstairs, and he was in a meeting with somebody, and one thing led to another, and the dude recognized me, and I recognized him, and it was DJ E-Man.
Oh shit!
And
Oh, wow.
we had met years before, I think in like '98, at a Loud Records party in Miami. And I was like, man, we just put two and two together, and he remembered me and vice versa, and we started talking, and he's like, hey, we're looking for a DJ at night.
Wow.
He goes and gets the program director, Jimmy Steele. I didn't have an air check tape on me, but they were asking for a demo. Went back to Dallas, sent him a demo, eventually heard back, and they wanted to bring me back out.
That's crazy.
And that's
crazy.
anyway, so that's how I got the job at Power.
By playing
crazy.
ball that
It was
day.
tough. It was tough by coming out, man.
Connects.
That's crazy.
And Buys one was, and Buys has, man, that guy. Let me tell you, man, he doesn't get the credit he deserves. That he's hooked up so many artists over the years. He's a type of person that makes connections with people. He sees something
That's huge.
and says, "This guy would be good if I introduce him to him." And that's what happened. And Buys is just he's a good dude, man, and he's got a great ear for music and good eye for talent, and it serves him well to this day. He's still doing his thing.
Shout out
man.
to Buys.
Shout out to Busy Buys, man. Yep.
That's crazy too, because I feel like a lot of stories I hear in LA too, specifically, like it really is that guy. There's someone in the circle that led one thing to another. That's the connection and networking. It's never like this. You came out here and it was like set in stone, like they heard you in Dallas. It's like everything of most of the people I talk to, it's all about your network and your connections.
And it's a small world.
yeah.
Very small.
And so,
Like you said, 98.
Yeah.
You guys recognize each other from then, which is wild.
yeah, we've known each other, for probably 22 years, maybe 23, and I like to say it's a small world. If you're feeling lazy that day and you don't want to go out and network, do yourself a favor, because the odds are, even if you just met one person at that function, they might know somebody that has something that fits that piece in your puzzle.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
So many people are like, I don't want to go because nothing's going to come about it. Well, not with that attitude.
Yeah.
And, for me back then, it was, and I preached this to my kids, and probably have preached it to him too, is that you gotta get out there and hustle. You gotta get up in the morning. You gotta go out and meet people. You gotta, the saying that I've used for years, and he's probably even heard me say this, is if you want to be a football player, sleep on the football field.
Wow, yeah.
You got to
Straight
get
up.
out there and put yourself around whatever thing that is.
Because you're learning that environment.
You're learning by
That's why I do what I
default.
do.
Yeah.
You're in it, and especially if it's something that you love to do, whether it could be something with trees, landscaping. Like, you go out there in the yard, man, and be around the people who are doing it.
For real.
Someone, I forgot who said this, but for example, find something as an adult that as a kid you had passion about,
yeah.
and find that, be passionate about that, and you'll be successful at it. Because then, I remember as a kid, like I wanted to be a soccer player, so like I fucking spent hours playing soccer. Was I good? No. But it's like now if I find something that I like, put the same amount of hours like you did with DJing and producing, it's like you'll put yourself in a position, like you said, sleep on the football field, sleep with your turntables.
Well, and also I feel like when you have that passion in anything you do and people see it, they gravitate towards
Yeah.
it.
Oh,
like even like how we were talking about ball earlier, like everyone loves watching Steph Curry play because he is that little kid on the real big light stage, like playing like we would as kids, like just throwing the rock up, bro. But he's the best at it. It's like he literally plays with that passion and love that we all had on the court, and we love to see like you in anything you see with that too. It's huge to show people that. 100%.
And know your strengths. We were talking about earlier. I don't think we were on at the time, but we were, learn to fail fast. Like understand if you're not great as we were talking about how everybody wants to be, I think we were talking about an artist.
Producer.
And that's been one of the hardest things for me is, how do you tell somebody their baby's ugly? But you got to understand your limits and what you're good at and what. Sure. Yeah, like I said, at one time, we had a group. I was in a group. I was wanting to do the rap thing. And
you had the group
3 Deep.
Oh,
shout out 3 Deep.
Shout out to Lenny and Lorenzo.
All right,
we had a group called 3D, and then when I was DJing back in the day with my boy Tall Boy, shout out to my brother Sean Robinson. He was my DJ partner, so to speak. Like we had a little group, and he ended up doing 13 years, and it was hard for me, because that was when I was DJing at the party. He had the mic. When he would jump on the tables, I had the mic, and we had a vibe that was, it would have been interesting to see what we would have gone on to do. But at age, I want to say 19, he went off for a minute.
Damn.
When I saw him again, to put it in perspective, I was in LA, and I think I had been here for about 3 or 4 years, and he finally got let out in Dallas.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I had my little rap hat on at one time and realized this ain't the right hat.
Yeah.
I'm better at these things,
But I feel like nowadays too, sorry Wolf, but I feel like nowadays too, it's like, I feel like streaming plays so much into that because anyone now can have the access to throw their stuff on.
And I feel like that's a problem.
It is. Yeah, no, it is. It's like,
the same
I said,
thing.
streaming is one of the, obviously the best things for
it's a gift and a
good
curse.
Independent artists.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the shitty independent
my music's
artists
on
can do it.
Spotify, right? But
Yeah, right.
I'm on Apple Music, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I can send you a link.
Yeah, I got a link, bro. They got cards now, everything, bro. It's just like in your face.
And it looks as official as Jay-Z's latest single.
Yeah.
But see, that's the thing I feel like about the whole streaming thing, where it's a gift and a curse, where you can easily make yourself look a lot better than the next person. It's just like you said, knowing your strengths, right? So it's like you can have someone that's ass at making music or whatever, and for whatever reason they have fans. But then I feel like you have someone that's good too, but then they understand that it's a whole image that you have to portray, and it's the whole marketing thing. So it's like, I think that's the beauty of it now, where it's like you have to cultivate an image all around, whereas before it was music, right?
They'll accept you just because you can sing your ass off.
Exactly.
I feel like that. Like when it comes to that though, like when you're an artist, like on Spotify or whatever, like, I mean, that's where he's talking about viral singles.
Yeah.
But that's where an album comes in, I feel like, personally.
Yeah.
Because, like, when you have a great album, people will stream the hell out of it.
We were talking about this with Vittori and how, like, the music today now is just single.
Yeah.
But, I mean, like you said, like,
Quantity over quality.
and for
100%.
me, I like to listen to a body of music, right? It's like, how does the album sound like? Because if you know how to make a single, like, okay,
that's cool.
But like, how does the album sound? And I think that's the problem with music today, is that people are so focused on singles,
Just one-offs, bro. Just
that they
the
don't-
nethe club banger, the next TikTok song,
TikTok, they want to just be
changes
TikTok
everything.
famous, and it's like,
And there's something too, the more, I've been given that advice. You got more content, more songs, more this, do a podcast and just keep doing podcasts every night.
Yeah.
And I come from that school of, quality over quantity. And I also happen to be the person that I'm my own worst enemy when it comes to getting something done. I'm a perfectionist.
Yeah.
And there's probably good and the good part about that is your end product ends up being something that you love.
Yeah.
And that, you know, hopefully other people love. The bad part about it is, you know, for me, like I would average, you know, I would come out with like 2 songs a year.
Yeah.
You know, seriously. Like if you look back at all the songs that I did, it would average like I'd come out with like a song every 6 months. I probably have enough now for a greatest hits. You know what I'm saying? Or greatest almost hits. On
Well, I actually looked into that too when we like first talked about it, and when we had James on the show first, and like he mentioned it at the end of the show, and I was like, oh shit, that's who your dad is. And like he kind of mentioned about the story about when he was growing up and being with you at the stations and stuff, and he was in there with you like when you first kind of were getting after it at Power 106, which was really cool to hear that aspect. And when you taled about it, I was like, well, that's cool. I just saw that kind of flirtation from father to son. That's fucking dope.
He used to sleep on the floor.
He said right
on
under
a Lion
you.
King we had a Lion King blanket, and it was
That's
his
crazy.
favorite blanket.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was gonna say, tell him about the intro. The intro, his old
Oh yeah,
intro.
so when I would get him up on the air, and he would do like, you know, the most famous one that people know is the Power 106. You heard?
Yeah.
And I think he was like
that was him.
5 years old or something like that. And
Wow.
he would sit in front of the mic, and I'd be like, say this, and say this.
Yeah.
You know, you're
Damn.
listening to my daddy.
That's hilarious.
That's crazy because I remember the Power
Yeah.
6. You heard?
I still play that.
Word.
I still
great.
play that to this day. Yo.
Damn, that's
amazing,
crazy.
bro.
I was gonna say to kind of go back. Obviously, we talked about like the trendy stuff, but going back to your day, you're not that old, but going back to your day, my biggest thing was, do you realize that you were like the first DJ Khaled?
I mean, I
real,
don't
though.
know
Yeah.
But I'm saying,
if I
like,
would put it that way, but yes.
you know what I mean. You know what I mean with the collab.
Khaled and I came up around the same time.
Yeah.
You know, and Khaled has managed to build an empire.
Yeah, it's crazy what Khaled
social
has
media.
done, honestly. Yeah, but yeah, and he hopped on the social
He
media
started
train
that
too with it.
motherfucking
Yeah.
Snapchat and have a great day, and really the first
Yeah.
motivation
Yeah.
person that like pushed social media. So.
And I think to his credit, like that's a strength that he has that I don't. You know, and it. I just never have been like, if you look at my social media, I don't even think I have on Instagram maybe 70,000 followers, which to a lot of people that sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
But and I remember one time I was with Meg the Stallion, and we were going to follow each other on Instagram, and I made some, you know, always downplaying myself, and I shouldn't do that, but I made some comment about my followers. She goes, "Man, shoot, you got a lot of followers," and I'm thinking to myself, no, I don't. Not because in my eyes, I don't think I never got to that point. And it's nobody's fault but mine.
Yeah.
But it's just not I beat myself up for it for a long time. But what I've realized as I've gotten older and wiser is that that's just not who I am.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it wasn't. I'm a really private person. There's certain things I don't like to put out into the world.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things I think need to be private because they're not as special.
And I feel like that's important though, because if you were to do that and be on social media like that, like a lot of people can see that uncomfortableness when people are doing it. Like,
I can't do it.
It's a lot,
especially
man.
with my kids
too. Yeah.
And they, you know, Elise and James both, you know, my son and daughter, they used to say like, why don't you repost or why don't you comment or why don't you do this? And I said, I'm not getting involved with you guys on social media. I'm not going to do it because it was uncomfortable for me. What we do as a family and the relationship I have with my kids,
Right.
I that's something that's really close and personal to me.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, it's already hard enough for me to post just me doing stuff on social media. So for me to do it and involve my kids, it's just something I've never felt comfortable with.
Yeah, I can understand that. But I mean, I agree with you kind of because you and Khaled did come up.
And I'm sorry, I'm super proud of my kids. Like, and they know that. And if they don't, I'm telling you, where's the camera? I love you guys. I'm proud of you guys. But I never
Gotta shout out the kids, man.
Yeah.
And James was great. Like I said, when we had him on here, it was really cool to hear his story and coming up with you and how he got out here. And I thought it was dope because he had mentioned too that he never really brought up the fact that you were his father. He kind of created his own route and his own lane because he didn't want that. In a sense, now I can kind of see it because even with the privateness, he says he's a very private person. And when you were talking about earlier, he said he told Jordan, he's like, man, thanks to this guy, he dragged me out a lot when I first got out here. Like, yo, you gotta come to this party. You don't know who you're gonna bump into. And then it happened because it was like he had the guy that was in his ear, like, bro, we gotta go. You don't know who you're gonna bump into.
Man,
so
you know how long it took for me to even know who he was? It was a smooth 5-6 months.
Yeah, that's crazy. But that's dope because there's so many.
That's how I got to know.
So many people could be in a different same situation, but use it differently. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know who you know what I mean? Like, many people do that.
Like, literally, I mean, being his brother, dope. I'll tell you now, he hates like he doesn't. Yeah. Because he don't want somebody to be like, oh yeah, like he might shit on the radio. Oh yeah, this on the radio. I'm like, he's like, nah, bro. Like,
your shit sucks.
You know and then he's gonna start getting he's gonna get the Spotify links.
He saw, I think, a little bit of what I went through.
Yeah, that's what he said too.
And it's no, you don't want to. It's let me tell you, man. If I'd have known, I was a DJ having fun, and I never asked to be put in a position. It's not nice to have to. Hear from feel like people don't to tell. It's not good to be that person that can play or not play somebody's record, and in some cases they feel like you can make or break my career, which we all know is not the case.
Oh yeah,
exactly. But that's something that has been tough for me over the years, to do because I never want to be, and never have wanted to be looked at as that person.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, a lot of, and I don't think I've ever said this in out in the open in public.
Oh, you heard it first here on All Bass No Treble.
but I think what I started realizing in being on the radio was that I didn't enjoy that part of it. I didn't enjoy, like a lot of people would think, think, oh man, you must get off on breaking records, which I actually do. It's a joy to see somebody get a record deal if that did happen, or see them post a video of them hearing their song on the radio for the first time. A lot of joy in that, but I can't tell you the 99 times to the one time that the 99% of the time it was, somebody was let down because they left the radio station and never heard their song on the radio, or they, and that's been something that's been hard for me to deal with over the years because you can't explain to somebody, imagine being in my shoes, you want to tell somebody so bad, like when artists are upset or in some cases angry, and I experienced being on that side of the fence when I started, coming out, and I had the blessing to had the opportunity to put my music out into the world. And I remember going on a radio tour with Def Jam and seeing what these radio stations, not that they expected a lot from me, and I wasn't this huge artist. But I remember thinking like, man, dude, I can only imagine what insert B-list or A-list artist goes through when they're on a road. The road,
crazy, probably.
Yeah, and it was like, I remember thinking to myself, I don't like this. And it didn't excite me about going back home and producing a whole lot of other songs with a whole lot of artists and doing the as you put it, the quote unquote Khaled thing.
Do you think that kind of drove you away from doing? Because I was going to touch base on it earlier. Like you said, like you have some major hit singles, and then it kind of just like stopped. It kind of just seems like you went to Power 106 only. I'm just going to do I'm going to spin on Power 106. I'm done with this shit.
I mean, don't get me wrong, man. Like there's a part of me that, I still love to produce a song and doctor it up and get, I could hear this artist on it, and man, but man, it didn't excite me. I think I got a taste of certain things. And and even though I knew there was money there and there was opportunities, I guess it just wasn't who that's who DJ Khaled is. That's not who DJ Felli Fel is. And it's funny because, I've gotten that comparison a lot over the years. And to be honest with you, it's part of it is very flattering because, look at his success.
Yeah.
And Khaled, that's my brother. I've known him for we came up together, so to speak. I just he's who he is.
Yeah.
T-Pain, and I'm who I am. T-Pain was on Drink Champs a while back, and I didn't even know it. My buddy, shout out to my boy Clay, he sent me a clip of I think Nori asked the question to T-Pain. He said Khaled or DJ Drama, and I guess they were looking for him, to say which DJ he preferred most. And his response, surprisingly, when I saw the clip, was Felli Fel.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, and
That's
obviously
dope.
that's very flattering.
Yeah.
And Nori's response was, West Coast, my boy Felli, or whatever he said.
Yeah.
And then he went right on with the interview.
Yeah.
But it's amazing to me how, but not surprising that I get that comparison.
Yeah.
But he's who he is.
Right, yeah.
I'm who I am. Khaled worked his ass off to get where he's at.
Oh, yeah.
And I have a lot of respect for him.
But I mean, even so, you just knew that about yourself, which is good, and you worked your ass off to get to the spot you're at, and then you said get the taste of it and be like, you know what, I'm cool, I'm good. Like, I think that's key, and I think it's dope for people to probably hear that from someone like you, to be like, yo, I could I have done it? Yeah, but I didn't like. I just didn't like it.
And the hard part was, and this is getting into some of the stuff I was saying I've never really talked about, but I think the hard part was, it was a road to realize certain things.
Yeah.
Like I there was a little bit there. I remember a time where there was a little bit of, and it was, I don't even know how to explain it. There was, I was upset, with, I pulled the reins back on some of the stuff I was doing, and then to see somebody that was doing the same thing that you were have so much success, you feel a certain type of way.
Yeah, for sure.
And I didn't like that feeling. I didn't like that ugly feeling, because that's not who I am as a person. And I remember coming to grips with, I don't want to do that though. Why are you why would you be upset inside about this guy's success? And it's just being a human being. And I had to realize, and it took me a minute to realize that's not who I am.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I don't think I would have been able to or ever do what Khaled has done. Yeah. Because man, that takes a lot. And and I had my son, and then eventually my daughter, and that became, as I got a little older, became even more important to me. Yeah. Because I think I had gotten past certain fears, certain things, James was getting older, my daughter was getting older, and I realized, like, all right, I can kind of I want to take a breather, because I was so worried that I wasn't going to just put the basic bacon on the table. Yeah. I didn't want to go out and start doing all kind of craziness and then lose even just a little bit of bacon I had. Yeah. So it just, things work out the way they work out for a reason. I really believe that. And I'm very blessed. I'm very happy with how things have turned out. And things, and you know what, I still enjoy what I'm doing, and I plan on coming out with more music, and whatever happens with that is how it was supposed to happen.
I mean, and you've had a run on Power 106 for how long has it been now?
Yeah, 20, going on 21 years.
I mean, that's incredible, bro. Yeah, that's literally dreams. And the thing is like, for me, because people talk about it, like, I think about like streaming everything now. Like, radio is still a force in the music industry. Like, people say it like, for me, like, what isn't as like impactful as like when like getting the cover of The Source used to be something like complex. Like, I feel like that stuff kind of lost its like wave, but
it's
radio
the analog.
Radio.
It's the analog. Well,
it's still
the magazine, the tangible magazine cover.
Like, radio is still a driving force, and it's going to continue to be.
I hope so, man.
21-year run, man. Is
I hope so. I think the one thing that radio has that streaming doesn't have is that human touch, that human connection.
Yeah.
So
and a local quality.
Yeah, exactly too. Because
every city has their own Felli in a way, you know what I mean?
One of the things that I actually wanted to ask you too, so it's like with the streaming or the music where it's at, you know, back in the day, there was this regional movements going out in each city, right? You got LA, you got Texas, Atlanta, St. Louis, whatever it is. Like, do you feel like that's still going on, or that kind of has meshed sounds from Atlanta to LA and LA to Atlanta and vice versa?
I mean, I think there's always going to be a sound in different regions, no matter what happens with technology, how technology and, to your point, streaming, you know, affect music.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always going to be a vibe in each different place. But do I think that technology has maybe brought that a little? Nah, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
Yeah,
you know, that's a tough one, man. I mean, because think about it. You know, you still can differentiate. You know, a New York rapper from an alien.
Oh,
you know,
you
could tell, and not. I don't just mean accent. You know, I mean, that's an obvious one.
Yeah.
But how the some of the songs sound, and you know, I guess maybe they're kind of starting to morph into something because you know, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I hope that never happens.
Yeah, because like, I mean, one of the most recent ones is kind of like the drill movement, right? Or like the New York drill movement, right? That kind of Pop Smoke sound was kind of like grime. I mean, it was grime in the UK, so it kind of just came overseas. So now it's like you're blending that. Now you're just not blending countries, right? Cities. You're blending countries. So I think that's the beautiful part of it. Because not only
music is beautiful,
because I feel like now even like, you know, the Latin artists, the Bad Bunnies of the world, now they're making hip hop. Now you're hearing Spanish bars too. And I think that's the beauty of it.
I mean, when you see a Bad Bunny, you know, Bad Bunny.
When
you see Bad Bunny and Snoop do a commercial together, I mean,
Corona, that shit's hilarious too.
And the hip hop kid in me is just like, wow, this is so beautiful.
That is
because
dope.
like I feel like before it was just kind of like you either like rap or you like reggaeton, and it was never one and the same, and now it's one and the same.
Well, for us,
I mean, and that was going on.
Oh, you go.
Oh no, I was gonna say that was going on back, and Nori bridged that gap. back in the day with you know, Nori, Nina Sky, and that whole. It was what was the song, man? Daddy Yankee, I think.
Oye Mi Canto.
Oye Mi Canto.
Yeah.
That was, you know, they want reggaeton. You know, that was going on back then. It's just, you know, how soon we forget.
Yeah.
You know,
that's
there's pioneers like Nori that changed the game.
I mean, what was it? There was Rockefeller Latino or something at the time, right? So it's crazy how, like you said, how easily we forget that was actually going on back then.
Yeah.
But I think it's so beautiful now that it's like more and more people actually know about it. And I always see people like, I listen to this artist. I have no clue what he's saying, but it sounds dope. I'm like, hell yeah.
I told you. I always try to tell him, I was like, I'm trying to get on it. Like, it's fire, but I don't know what's happening, but it sounds, sonically, it sounds pleasing.
But that's the beauty about music is you don't have to understand one lyric. And this goes for somebody in, you know, Puerto Rico or somebody in Brazil doesn't have to understand one
French rappers
English
out there too.
The vibe of the, you know, like if you listen, I'm trying to think of something right now, like Pepas, you know, for like that song is just such an amazing song that I feel like, you know, you have an amazing song that no matter what language it's in, you feel like it was going to be a hit.
You're humming to that shit anyway.
That melody and that vibe, you know.
Yeah.
That's crazy too. And what I was going to say when you were saying it earlier is because we came up on like 90s music and stuff when there's West Coast and there's East Coast. There's no one doing like the two really or combining sounds. Atlanta had their sound, you know, Texas had their sound. And then it was like, now we've seen that gap of like, you know, the Drakes coming in the world and like people call him like a culture vulture, but he's like taking flows from all over the world that we don't hear because obviously we don't really have the means to. And then presenting it to us and we go, damn, this shit sounds hella fire. What is this? Where'd he get? And then you look that he's really just been hanging out with like London cats and he's getting that flow from them.
See, I think that's cool too because you just like sampling, right? I feel like that's essentially what he's doing, but with different sounds. you're like, where is he getting this inspiration from? So then it's a gateway to new music, to new artists. So it's like, oh shit, now I'm refreshed. Like Jordan was saying, it's like, man, I'm done with hip hop.
Yeah.
And I've been kind of on the same wave for like the last year. I'm like, man, it's the same shit over and over. But it's like when you find that new cat that's dope, like,
Man, y'all getting old, bro.
Yeah. I'm 30. Like you said, like I grew up on 90s hip hop. Like,
Same.
I was joking, but
no, it's for real though.
y'all are young, man. Yeah, but music is you can always find something in any genre, in my opinion, in any time. So, going back to even the 20s or the 30s or even further than that, and even, somebody, it's about having an open mind. I bought a car years back from this cat, right? And I come to his house and he I think he realized who I was, and he made a comment. He goes, "Yeah, man, I only listen to 90s and 80s hip hop, man. I can't fuck with this new shit." And this was probably 5, 6, maybe even 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And I just kind of laughed it off or whatever. And I remember thinking, like, I kind of feel what he's saying, but really thinking about that. And I remember for whatever reason that day I left dude's house after buying this car from him. And I remember really giving this thought, because dude was like, almost said it in like an angry way.
That's
like,
how I felt.
And I'm thinking to myself, like, how can somebody be so mad at music?
Yeah.
And it's having a narrow mind. And that's what I'm getting at. I think when you stop, what's the saying, like, being a kid, you gotta, as you get older, different responsibilities come into play, different things in your life come into play, age, you can't escape it. So you're not windmilling anymore and breakdancing and doing that shit, but it doesn't mean you can't enjoy, but that's not the media. And it puts things in your head as a person to where you think, like, well, I'm not supposed to listen to that music anymore because I'm 38. It's like, you can listen to that shit for the rest of your life.
And that's the point about music too, though. It's timeless. You can go back, like you were saying, any point you can go back and listen to whatever you want. Like, I recently dove into like the whole having a record player thing, getting vinyls and just buying random shit and putting it on, being like, wait, I know this sample.
Right. Well, I will say this though. With the lyrics, I understand how somebody that grew up with 80s and 90s hip hop, like myself, and in some cases like you guys, because you guys are music connoisseurs, can hear some of the newer stuff and be like, "What the fuck is this bullshit?" Because I don't get me wrong, I feel that way sometimes. But I'm more of a music. I listen to beats and melodies before I listen to lyrics. But don't get it twisted. I can literally recite and rap along with the whole Eric B. and Rakim Paid in Full, that first album. It's been a long time.
Crazy.
Shouldn't have left you without a dope beat to step to. I can literally, when I went to see Eric B. and Rakim, I think it was at it was downtown LA about 4 or 5 years ago. And I was lucky enough, me and my boy, shout out to my boy Vinny the freaking Rican, we walked up in there and I saw my buddy Marcellus Wiley, and I was like, "Oh, what's up?" And he goes, "Come on." And he had a table by himself with him and his sister. They had a bottle of vodka, and me and Vinny were like, he's like, "You with me tonight, Fel." And we got lit on some vodka, and me and Vinny and Marcellus Wiley and his sister sang every lyric to every Eric B. and Rakim song. So coming from that era, I understand, because I feel that way. I hear some of the more current stuff sometimes, and I'm like, this is some bullshit. Sometimes it's because I don't know what the fuck you just said, and other times it's because I know exactly what you just said, and this shit is stupid. But I have found myself, if the melody's right, but I allow myself. Dude that I bought that car from that time, he won't allow himself to, but again, it's okay to not like some shit, but give something a chance. Like, and thank God that because of my love for music, I've been able to continue to do that. And I can hear a new song and appreciate it. And play it on the radio. And,
I was going to ask him, like, how, like when you play songs on the radio, is there like a scripted list? Or
Oh, yeah.
do your thing?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I feel like people play the same song like all the time.
But that's what radio does.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, man, it's somebody over the years I've had, like a person say, for example, man, I don't really listen to radio anymore because y'all play the same shit over and over and over again. And I'm like, really? Well, how do you know that if you don't listen to the radio? Yeah. It's like, and what, and obviously we know the answer to that, but the point is, the average listener, there's a reason, the average listener listens for 15 minutes at a time, maybe twice a day. So that means they're listening 15 to 20 minutes in the morning, maybe 15 to 20 minutes in the afternoon. And if we're lucky, they listen another 15 to 20 minutes at night.
Yeah.
Obviously that depends on the age. The younger folks are listening more at night. The older demos listening more in the mornings and in afternoons. But yeah, I mean, it's just, man, it's all preference, man.
Yeah.
People just need to, don't, just because you're a certain age doesn't mean you can't, appreciate something, so don't, but what do they say? Public Enemy said, don't believe the hype.
Don't get me wrong. I still fuck with Future.
I still love like, I still love rap.
Yeah.
I just was scarred, bro, by the concert, bro. I was literally scarred. Like,
I
was scarred.
What happened?
It just felt really like,
What concert was it?
Playboy Cardi.
Oh, the Playboy Cardi concert.
Bro, you look.
Bro, I was literally in there like, I feel like
you look
I just
devastated.
got, like, a whole spell casted on me, bro. Like,
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to do it.
Nah,
But I'm saying that's a specific artist though, bro. Like Playboy Cardi.
If there was
has
like
those
8
fans,
different artists
and
there,
that's like you ain't going to a J. Cole show and feeling that way.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
But I went to Tame Impala and changed my life.
No, yeah, for sure. I used to see
love
Tom
all
Petty
time.
all the time.
He big
like
man.
different genres.
Yeah.
He big man.
I'm an
he's
alternative
not.
dude now, man.
This dude is like 25 and an 80 and a 25-year-old body.
No cap, for real though. That's Jordan, man, for real.
I feel you though.
That's why I fuck with Jordan though, man.
I learned from
That
him.
old soul right there, for sure.
But yo, no, I feel you because I'm telling you, like we were talking about this before. I went to Rolling Loud and I was like, yo, these kids were moshing. They were fucking jumping into each other.
crazy.
I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Nah, like my knees hurt. The fuck?
you feel
Like,
me?
I'm trying to do all that
I'm
shit.
actually about to go to that shit, but
I'm putting
I
y'all's
got the
Christmas gift
VIP
together.
ticket.
Walker, wheelchair.
Don't put me in that.
I got y'all. Don't worry, bro.
Can it be a power
Back
wheelchair?
brace.
I literally thought about though, because I'm going to Rolling Loud in December, and I was like, man, I can't be in the crowd like that. I'm gonna get the VIP seats.
Well, especially after what happened. Man, it makes you think.
Oh yeah, for sure too. And that's just like that's a conversation.
People are
for
ready to be
sure,
back
man.
outside, and it's a different type of being back outside.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. That's why I was like, let me make sure I have my own situation.
Well, that happened in the VIP section.
Oh really?
Yeah,
Well,
even
Rolling. I mean, Astro World is insane. Like 50,000 people is a lot of people.
hold up. I will say this. Hip hop festivals are the worst organized festivals
agree.
ever.
Probably.
I've gone to Day and Night Festival that was at the Angel Stadium.
Yeah.
VIP tickets, worst. Everybody was fucking in there. No security guards. Rolling Loud.
No,
the VIP
trash.
areas. Trash. It's like, why are you paying extra for this?
This
shit?
coming up, Rolling Loud though, I feel like is going to be
The security's going to be
the
ramped up.
best organized that any
Because of the
festival has ever been.
circumstances. Yeah.
And to be honest with you, and I'm not just saying this because Tarek, the owner of Rolling Loud, the guy that started, I've known him for years, but he really, especially after what happened out in Houston, this dude is going to be on his P's and Q's, and I have a feeling that they're gonna go above and beyond what needs to be, happen to make this thing,
that event-
enjoyable and safe and the whole 9 yards.
see,
right?
But for sure, concerts are forever changed because of what happened. I think so.
Yeah.
You think so?
I think so. I think that incident that happened in Houston at Astroworld is forever changing festivals and concerts and things. I think so because it's literally nothing that big has really happened in recent memory.
Did you see how like fast they were running to the merch line?
Yeah.
All I thought was resale. I'm like, all right, there's such a resale like culture
Mentality.
now, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like everybody wants whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's $89, but then we're gonna resell it for $600.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they were jumping gates and shit. Like it was crazy.
Well, see, I think here's the thing about hip hop and like I've heard older people talk about it is they always talk down upon it because it's like, oh, it's not rock, it's not this, so it's always talked down upon. So it's like,
But that's been in every genre. That's what I would remind them.
yeah, I think I forgot who it was. It was I don't know if it was U2 or what big rock star said, and they interviewed them. It was a Rolling Stone interview. They were like, what genre do you look for? What genre are you listening to for innovation? And the guy said, I forgot who it was. They're like hip hop, because hip hop is still technically a new genre, right? I mean, it's,
absolutely.
so it's like there's a lot of innovation going on in hip hop. There's now a lot of subgenres within hip hop.
You can't name really another genre. So it was rock. After rock, it was hip hop.
Yeah.
But name another genre that became as big as rock and hip hop after hip hop.
Yeah.
You could name a bunch of genres,
But they're not as
But
big
there are
as hip-hop.
things like, grunge. Grunge was pretty big.
Yeah.
Wasn't rock or hip hop.
No. Nope.
You can name, drum and bass.
Not as big as hip hop.
Not as big as rock and hip hop.
And I feel like that's the thing, is that I feel like finally people are realizing how big hip hop can be, or how big hip hop is.
Yeah.
Not can
It's
be.
global.
Definitely
Yeah,
is.
it's global
huge. Yeah, it's
too. It's
global.
global.
So it's like,
Yeah.
like I said, the inner hip hop kid in me is like, finally hip hop is at the stature of rock and all these other genres. But like you said, I feel like, or like you were saying about Rolling Loud being, the P's and Q's are going to be all there. I feel like that's great for the hip hop culture, because it should be a family fun event that you could take your kids to, right? Like, you could be 9 years old and tell your dad, like, yo, I want to go to so-and-so's concert, right? And I think as a parent, you should be able to feel comfortable taking your kid there. And I think that will make the hip hop culture and the hip hop genre even bigger. I
don't know that a kid that young needs to go to any kind of concert.
Yeah.
I remember when I was younger, my dad, I think I asked him years ago, I'm like, hey, how old? Because my sister is about 12 years younger than me.
Yeah.
And I asked, how old was Katie when you first took her to a football game?
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, about your age. And I'm like, oh, how old was that? He's like, about like 6 years old. And I'm like, oh, wow, I was 6. But the difference is, you're 6 years old at an organized event that has seating that you can't get in without this ticket.
Yeah.
And I think when they start doing stuff like that, that's when it's going to be comfortable to the point where, but even then, bro, a football game versus a concert, first, there's so many things that make it different. You got people don't get me wrong, you're cheering for your team, but I think there's a lot more going on with extracurricular things.
Concert,
for sure.
You got people squeezed everywhere doing it. And like you said, Travis is known for he rages. He throws, he rocks the fuck out at his shows. Like,
fans are called the Ragers
the
for a
Ragers.
reason,
like
dude.
it's a very tragic thing too.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for him, man.
Yeah.
And a lot of people may hear somebody say that they feel bad for him, but like, what if that was your kid? And I don't think that there was any malintent on his part. And my dad actually told me about, that's not the first time that happened. People need to do their history. It happened, 30 people died back in the, I think, late 60s at a concert in
Woodstock,
I think it was in Ohio or something. And my dad was telling me recently, he's like, that ain't nothing new,
Yeah.
But sometimes I feel like they make a bigger deal, and God knows I'm not discounting what happened to these people. It was very unfortunate.
Yeah, of course.
But I think sometimes they do make a bigger deal when something happens within the hip hop culture, and it's unfortunate. And for Travis, whether or not and people are saying he saw people that were walking by and their bodies weren't moving. I don't know that when you're up on stage and you're a headliner and you're thinking this person, he had a good time.
Yeah.
He's passed out. I don't think that honestly Travis Scott knew that people were the severity of it.
And I agree with
way,
you.
man.
That's what I said too.
And there was clips of him that were stuff he could see. He stopped and said, whoa, that kid's passed out. Security, can we get him?
Yep.
Get the ambulance. And everyone was like, oh, he saw ambulance. Of course he's going to see an ambulance. He knows
I
that.
think what we've learned from this is there has to be protocol put in place to where it doesn't go back on somebody on stage.
Yeah, no.
Because, people were like, Travis was going over there telling the sound guy to turn it back on. There has to be something put in place where, I don't know if that was true, but even if it was, as a performer, you don't want to look back and find out your show was ruined just because there was a drunk guy being carried off.
Exactly.
And that's probably was his mindset. And, I hope moving forward, and they probably do have some kind of protocol, but there needs to be a person or a team that it's like when something gets to a certain point, it doesn't matter what the performer says. It's not their call. It's the security and the whoever's managing this show to their duty to know what the fuck is going on so that they can make that call to, hey, we got to shut this music off because there's some craziness going on. Yeah. And they,
And there's a lot of moving parts.
Apparently
There's A, B, C, different teams, like you said. And what everyone forgets, too, is that Travis Scott is a human and a kid that obviously is probably feeling terrible at this moment. You know what I mean? And it's like, and people still want to like this whole cancel culture shit. Like, bro, he is a kid.
Oh, you see Nike pulled out from his Cactus Jack shoe.
Yeah,
and I get that. A big corporation like that doesn't want that kind of flack, whatever. But
he's a human.
But he's a human, but I will also say this, and I do want to say again, like, the families who were affected by this, my heart goes out to you guys.
Sure. I'm tragic.
Putting myself in that position and probably how angry I would have been.
Oh, 100%.
But I think that we have to remember nobody wakes up in the morning and says, hey, how can I be a part of something like this and make this happen?
Exactly.
And I know Travis pretty well. We're not drinking buddies, but I know, and I've come to know what kind of person he is enough to I can honestly say, man, this dude didn't want that. He didn't, I don't really think he knew what was going on. And I hope that he makes, I hope he gets back on track with stuff sooner than not. Yeah. So it's just an unfortunate thing, man.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
It is. And I do, because I know we're getting at time here, so I do want to segue out real quick and just get the stuff in that we can for the episode. But for, like you said too, like, for real, let the families know, especially like it is tragic and very sorry.
For sure.
And prayers to that, because it's just like someone texted me about it. And it's an all around terrible situation. Yeah, and I think it's super unfair at the same time to point fingers at one human.
Can't do it
and say it's your fault. That's just not. That's what are we doing at that point?
When there's a target,
you know what I mean?
You hit that target
exactly. And like you said, with hip hop musicians in. Specifically
in microscope a lot of times.
Exactly.
I hate that. That's
make
what I'm
an example.
Saying. It's like, why is it?
But it also goes back to your point. I think because it's one of the newish successful genres that rock has been going on for so long that it's kind of like accepted. Like they were raging, it was a rock concert. Whereas the hip hop thing, it's also a thing that has to do with color. Yeah. Unfortunately. And I think until we get past all that, and we know, we saw what's happened in the last, couple of years with the Black Lives Matter movement, we gotta get better at certain things, and we gotta realize and grow as people, so that when these things do happen, in this case in the hip hop community, it's not treated any different than it would be if it was at a country concert or a rock show or whatever.
Exactly.
And I think we got a long way to go. Honestly.
Well, sometimes it takes tragedies like this to really kind of set in stone and put in a protocol and wake people up and get things moving to be like, okay, how do we prevent this from ever happening? Because sometimes it unfortunately takes the worst situation to make you realize like, okay, this can't happen. So how do we stop it?
Exactly.
Hey guys, thank you so much for checking out this week's episode of All Bass No Treble. If you could please subscribe and like, and also get the notification button smashed for us, that would mean the world to us. If you'd like to keep up with myself, my co-host, or our special guest this week, all of our social medias and info is right below. And if you would like to listen, tune into Apple Podcasts or Spotify, as you can hear us on there as well. Again, thank you so much for tuning in this week, and I will see you on the next episode.